Well, thank you today. My name is Jim Barrett, and as I mentioned, I'd like to talk a little bit about how we manage our two largest assets during a job search. The first one is our income, and the second one is our 401k. I'd like to introduce you to one of my clients. Her name is Jan. Jan came into my office and said, "What am I going to do?" I said, "What happened?" She goes, "I got laid off." Now, to give you a little background on Jan, Jan started with this company right out of college. The only company she ever worked for, was there for 25 years. She was the employee that built all the relationships with all the stores. And she did everything for the company. She never married. She kind of treated her job as her spouse, so to speak, threw everything she had into it. And boy, did they give her wonderful things. They gave her a car, paid for the lease, paid for all the maintenance, the gas, everything, insurance. Gave her a cell phone, paid the bill on that. Just about anything that she wanted, they gave it to her. And they also gave her a really good salary and bonus. It was a dream job. She loved it. Didn't even feel like work. But then new owners came in and said, "We can do it cheaper." So, goodbye. So she got a severance, she got unemployment. She goes, "How am I going to manage?" And I said, "Well, the first thing we want to look at is, what do you need each month for income?" So tell me, Jan, what is it that you need for income each month? She goes, "All of it." I said, "We need a specific number. What I'd like to do with you is put together and she stopped me and she says, "Don't say the budget word." I said, "I'm going to say it because we should do it just so we know." So in your workbook there, if you want to open to page 1, this is what we did with Jan. Page 1 was a survival worksheet for a budget. This will help you identify how much you need each month. Now, it sounds funny, but some of us, a lot of my clients that come in, they've never done a budget. The money goes in, money goes right back out, and it seems to work just fine, but all of a sudden, when income drops, then we start paying attention a little bit more to how our money is spent, right? We watch that carefully. We can get more income, or we can cut back our expenses. That's how we improve the bottom line. And so far, we're at a job search, so it's difficult to find that extra income, so the one thing we want to manage is our expenses. Now, when we did this with Jan, we did a little struggle, a little bit, I say that playfully, because she wanted to put on there getting nails done every week was a survival expense. That was really important to her. I said, "You know what, I think we need to move that off to survival just for a little bit." And so what we did was we turned the page. If you want to turn the page in your booklet, you'll find the desired budget or worksheet. These were the fun things that we brought back into the budget. The travel, getting the nails done, the massages, all those things that were important for her. And here's what this did for Jan. When she was job searching, the survival budget, we compared it against what was coming in for unemployment and severance, and you know what? It was enough. And it took that, for the first time, she kind of relaxed a little bit and realized, I'm going to be okay. I'm not where I want to be by any means, but I'm going to be okay. It also helped when we added page 2 to the budget, the desired number. Because as she was out job searching and she was getting offers, from a financial standpoint, she knew if that was a good number financially from that job offer. Because she knew what she needed every month to survive and also the desired things. It was one more filter to decide if that was a good fit for a job. Well, it helped her out tremendously. So I give that tool to you today. For some of you, that might take some of the anxiety out of where you're at. How am I going to manage this? Here's how we manage it. So it's a very good exercise for you to know how much income you need against how much expenses that you need. What does it cost to live? I think it's a good exercise no matter where you are in life, just to understand the mechanics of that. I'd like to introduce you to Mark. Mark came into my office a few years ago and he says, "You know what? I'm within 5 years of retirement and they let me go. Darn, I was this close." His dream was to retire at 62. He was 57, almost 58 years of age when he came in. He plopped out his 401k from his company and said, "What am I going to do?" I said, "What's the problem?" He goes, "Well, when I worked for the company, I was able to contribute money to my 401k every month, and they were nice enough to do some matching for me. And now I no longer can put money away, and I don't get that matching, and I'm starting to see the value of my account go backwards because of the market. What can I do about it? And he looked at it a little bit closer and he says, you know what? I find that all these investment selections are really wired for a younger worker. There's a lot of risk here, and I really want some safety. So when we looked at his 401k, and I've looked at a lot of 401ks from these events, I found 4 common denominators in 401ks. And if you've left your 401k at your former employer, here's what you're basically doing. You're giving them power of attorney to make decisions in 4 areas of your 401k. The first one is the investment selection. What selections are going to be available to you? The second is the expenses. Or what is it going to cost you to participate in their 401k? The third thing is, what about the advice available to you on those choices or selections inside your 401k? Or as one client put it, lack of advice. Or the fourth one would be, when I do retire, how am I going to be able to take my money out? What's the distribution options available to me under that plan? And if heaven forbid I should pass away, how about my beneficiaries? So we have, by leaving it there, you've given them power of attorney to figure out what to do. So what we've done is we've given authority or power of attorney to your former employer about those decisions for you. It reminds me a lot about a homeowner. Now, how many people here own a home? Okay, how many of you pay property taxes? Yeah, all of you do, right? Have you ever gotten a property tax statement that says your value went down and your property taxes either stayed the same or went up? Do you have any voice in that in trying to negotiate with City Hall?
We make it to the meeting before it passes,
yeah. Yeah, you have a voice. It's a small voice, but you might. How about if you no longer have children living under your roof, and you notice that a portion of the property taxes go for the school? Can you go down there and say, I noticed that maybe about a third of our taxes go towards the school. I don't have kids anymore. Can we just subtract that from the? Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do, right? But in essence, that's what we're doing when we leave our 401k behind. You may have no longer need those services that you're paying for. Now you have the opportunity to fix that. Well, in Marv's situation, what we did, and I would say this is probably the #1 reason why people will sit down and visit with me after these events, is the safety or lack of safety available inside their 401k. Now, if you've been an investor since the beginning of 2000, you know what it's like. Most of us are probably right at where we are today, where we were about 11 years ago. Especially if you factor in the last 6 weeks where we've been giving back some of the gain. Well, he never wanted that to happen, so we were able to move it to a concept called safe money. I'd like to illustrate what I mean by safe money. Let's imagine this, if you will, a playground ball. This represents your 401k. We'll see if I can do this one-handed. All right, so this represents your 401k. You know what? I grabbed the wrong one. This is 1999. Just a minute. See if I can find 2011 here. Okay, this represents. This is what it feels like, right? I remember how big it was. Now I feel it's really, really small. How many remember October of 2008 when the stock market was melting? And that statement came in January of 2009 and said, here's how you did. When that statement came in your mailbox, how many of you opened it? Yeah, a few of us, not a lot of us. And that was very commonplace because you were afraid of how small this got. And you were afraid of how far it dropped. And you were concerned that it would never bounce up again. Well, safe money takes that fear out of opening up your statement because we're going to play defense if the market's down. We're going to play offense if the market is up. And here's how that works. Let's say, for example, you have a CD in the bank that you opened up a year ago. You put $100,000, just as a round number. And you get your statement in the mail this week that says, congratulations, that $100,000 is now worth $101,000. And you look at that and go, well, you know what? I love the safety. Boy, this is dang simple. I can understand it. But man, $1,000, 1%? It's going to take me 72 years to double my money. There's got to be a better way. So let's say you take matters in your own hands. You take that $1,000 out of the bank. You go to the bank, take the interest that you just made, you put it in your pocket, you hop on an airplane, you go to Las Vegas, and you gamble. And let's say you are lucky and you win $4,000. king or a queen. You come back to Minnesota, you go to the bank Monday morning, you put that $4,000 back into the account. Now we have $104,000. Now, would you agree in this scenario we increased our rate of return? Yeah, from 1% to 4%, right? Now, in this example, and in this example only, was the $100,000 ever at risk? No. It was in the bank the entire time. All we did was gamble with the yield, or the interest, or the rate of return, however you want to think. Well, safe money is the same way. Now, I never go to Las Vegas, so don't get nervous. And I've learned to tell after I acquire a new client to let them know that I have a planned vacation tomorrow. It's been on the books for a while. I've had a few clients say, "You left out of town as soon as you became a..." No, I'll tell you, I'm going to be out of town. We laugh at it, but it's serious. Some people think, "What did you do?" I never would take your money. What we do instead is we take the money and we put it into a government bond. We take the yield from the government bond, which is 1% in this example. We'll take the $1,000 and we'll say, do you want to keep the $1,000 in your account? So 1 year from now, you have available, you've got $101,000, or do you want to send that yield to Wall Street in the form of a stock option that says you have the right to participate, but never the obligation? And you make that decision after 12 months. We look back and say, don't want any part of what just happened on Wall Street last year. And if it made money, you will want to participate. If it lost money, you do not participate. And all you've risked is that yield. That principal is safe and secure. That's probably the #1 reason why people visit with me. Now, should you roll over your 401k, or should you leave your 401k at your former employer? My answer is yes. I don't really know, to be honest with you, because I've never done a diagnosis. And if I give a prescription up here without a diagnosis, that's malpractice. So we'll make available to you here in a couple minutes a complimentary consultation if you would like to participate in that. And we would love for you to just check a box at the bottom. We'll explain the card to you in just a minute. If you are interested in that, we'd love to visit with you and give you a free complimentary review. Now, a couple resources that are in your packet there. There are some handouts to you that I'd like to give to you. I recognize some of you in the room are do-it-yourselfers when it comes to your investments, and I'm still glad you're here, okay? Still glad you're here. There's an article here that I would like to make sure I get your attention on. This is a Star Tribune article. I was featured 2 years ago in March on the Star Tribune and the Sunday paper. I was approached then in October of 2008 when I said, hey, I see a problem out there. A lot of job seekers are really ticked off that they lost their job, and they see their former employer still on their 401k statement, which aggravates them. And they're taking that money because it's going down in value, and they roll it over to their checking account thinking it's safe, which it is. However, we've got a big tax consequence waiting for you next year. And I said, I know how to fix that problem. And they said, would you be willing? In fact, I asked for advice, and they gave me money by saying, I would love to feature you in the Sunday Star Tribune newspaper. Would you be willing to be cited as a source? I went, sure, absolutely. So that's how that whole article came about. But there's a great read. It's a pretty quick read, but it will help you. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, I'd like to refer to the second handout that's in that packet. That's the one with the picture on there of me. One-handed slows me down a little bit. But this piece right here, this talks about the do's and don'ts of a rollover. So my guiding principle to you today, if you're going to roll that money over, make sure it goes from the 401k to where it's going to go directly. If it goes through your checking account, through your hands, made payable to you and you only, that's going to cause potentially a large tax bill, and a very unpleasant one for most people. I haven't found anyone who says that was a pleasant tax bill. They're always unpleasant, so we don't want that. So out of ignorance, I'm saying don't fall into ignorance here. So if you're going to move your money, let's do it the right way, and we know how to do that. Well, if you want to pull out, there's a blue card. We're going to do a door prize drawing here. We've got a couple of door prizes I want to give away. There's a blue card here. We'll take a minute and fill that out. That lets us know that you would like to participate in our door prize today. At the bottom is a box that says, yes, I would like a complimentary review. Would you please call me? And I will call you. If you leave it blank, I will not bother you. All right? Well, it's a free complimentary review, and we're basically going to look at your 401k and ask you a question that you've probably never been asked before with your 401k. What's important to you about your investment? And I will listen.